All right, hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing One Ring Second Edition tonight. We are continuing our Waking of Angmar campaign, though we were just talking about translating it to a sitcom style since we're at Floyd's home and doing like a Full House style opening or something like that, where everyone's caught in the middle of some strange situation, then turns and looks at the camera. So I think that's what they're going to do when you introduce your characters. You have to come up with what would your sitcom opening be for your particular character. And then the other thing we were talking about ahead of time is before Steven got on, but I was talking about the numbers. Like, this is episode 26. Each episode is roughly like, I don't know, 2.5 hours long. So we've got like over 60 something hours worth of Lord of the Rings, like One Ring content. I don't know, like the tree, like if you think of the original trio of movies, like it's what, like 10 12 hours, something like that. And then
With the
second
extended,
trio,
it's 12 or 13, yeah.
yeah. And then with the Hobbit stuff, that's like another 8 or 9 or whatever. That's
Yeah.
still only 21. So basically, we're 3 times as good as those professionally made movies, right? Right?
It's still only a quarter of the time it takes to read the book, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah. And
We haven't quite
and
reached the
20th time to read
description of
Silmarillion.
trees.
I'm going to
We're
start
getting
assigning you
there.
all textbook homework to read entries from the Silmarillion.
Ooh.
We're going to take quizzes and stuff on it too. It's going to be great.
I'm gonna fail.
It's going to be great. It's wonderful. I had my copy around. Oh, there it is on the ground. Oh no, it's not. That's the what's that? That's Return of the King. I still got my Silmarillion copy sitting right over here. This old, well-worn, broken spine. You can tell I've actually read it. Good times. And it's like the really small font stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like big font. It's like really tiny font.
Yeah.
And
Are we going to get the really inane questions like what color socks did Glorfindel wear?
Right.
trick question: Glorfindel didn't wear socks. What's wrong with you? You don't wear socks. Oh man, Glorfindel. There's some great names: Glorfindel, Fingolfin. I love some of those like old school names, and yet we get like, I don't know, all the ones that we get in the modern era is like Legolas, Arwen. Okay, let's go back to the like really clunky ones. I like those. All right. So yeah, that was my rant for no reason in particular, other than it's extraordinarily hot here and my mind's not working. So let's introduce characters. Let's start with old Floy, who's been the star of the show this adventuring phase. So what's going on with Floy there, Long?
Yes, resident dwarf treasure hunter, youngest of 12. I've been first to get a flaw, grasping for my treasure hunter dragon sickness shadow path. Pretty much going for treasure above all else. Pretty much, I see myself as fine, but the others, there's like a darkness in me they want me to get rid of.
Yeah, that's true. You have so you have 11 brothers and sisters, and you're the youngest. You said, right?
That's right.
Okay. Do you have a general idea of like where all your siblings are? Are they all here, or do any go anywhere else in Middle Earth or anything?
Yeah, a couple of them are in the mines, maybe a couple head across the lands, do a little traveling, little merchants.
Okay. All right. I dig that. You'll have to give me a list of your siblings who may be off in the world, so maybe we'll encounter them at some point someday, or their bodies, something like that.
Oh,
They all stay here.
I still got mothership on the mind from last night. My bad.
They're
Oh,
living
goodness.
bodies. They are still alive.
Yeah,
Right,
they were
right.
sleeping. Did I not make that clear? It's my bad. Okay, that's Floy. And next up, we've got Floy's biographer. We got Gilly. Ashley, tell us about Gilly.
I'm playing Gilly Kettlegrass. She is our scholar of the group, and she's never really found without her journal that she obsessively writes in. And yeah, she's kind of in hog heaven right now because we had a previous joke where when we saw what was it, the thing called the nameless thing, and what did everybody see under the water? Well, Gilly saw the Fabia of dwarves, so she's on the hunt. And yeah, that's really about it. She's very concerned about Floy in the overall cohesion of the group because everything's kind of like testy right now, and it's not really vibing.
It's not really vibing. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Fair enough. Where would we say when do we think like things started going bad? Was it when you guys were going and looking for the elf stuff, like with the where Mindir's what's it called, the attack happened, or did it start going south sooner than that? Like, did it start going south?
Sooner. Like when we got to the village after the events.
On our way to Eskerdale.
Okay.
Was when it slowly started to shift.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say Mendir was like the point of no return.
Sure. Yeah. That kind of really made it less of a we're talking behind people's backs about it, and now it's like out in the open, like something's up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like the Eskerdale trip, like that happened like post our Yule Fellowship phase.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was more like High Optimus when we left that. I think it was after the journey.
Was
because we killed Rotag and then we got a nice Yule Fellowship. So we're like, oh yeah, we're awesome.
Mm-hmm. And
then,
then
it was after that.
After that, you went to Eskerdale.
Yeah, pretty much got messed up by chaos.
I'm wondering if anything went down while Floyd came home. If like if you snapped at any of your siblings, your family members, your other folks that are in the halls. If there were any other incidents maybe of this. Curious. I should have thought about that before we started. All right, timeout. I'm going to take a 10-minute break. Sketched out a few ideas. And then we'll be back. All right. And then let's go bottom row. We've got our resident ranger, Ariniel. Tell us about Ariniel, Melissa.
So Ariniel is our ranger champion. I was going to say, because one of the things that she did upon kind of our arrival is she had done a little bit of hunting, because that's something that she's good at. And so she, kind of brought in some hares to give to Floyd's mom for cooking for us being here. So I think that's kind of what she's, kind of hunter and gatherer type, go out, kind of get some things to contribute to food while we're kind of hanging out for a long time. So that's would have been her sort of freeze frame. She's out like in the hunting.
She's dressing a kill. Turns around like covered in like, I don't know, deer viscera or something.
Yeah, but she's contributing to the her.
Or she does like
and hostesses
across her forehead and leaves a little bit of like smudge blood behind. Yeah.
Yep. That is it. She is
tilts the head to the side. You got me. All right. It's good. It's good. If I had any like editing experience, if I was any good at this kind of stuff, I would put together like a opening like that. That'd be great. And then we'd lose everyone who actually likes the show. And then finally we have Erebon, our cheerful elf. Tell us about Erebon, Stephen.
I am playing Erebon, Child of Eru, Exile of Linden, Warden of Ariador, and Drinker of Water.
Yay!
Added that from Melissa. He's a very sad, lonely elf, but he's trying to get better. We're always improving. And I think his sitcom moment would be he just tries to find a table to himself with a glass of water. And then immediately there are like 13 or 14 other dwarves that sit down around him and just start drinking and being raucous and just shrug.
And it's like a corner booth and you're right in the corner and like there's no way out, right?
I'm trapped.
That's perfect.
You're just slowly like sinking under the table as you try to
forced to have a good time.
Get out.
Yeah. All right. Shall we get started then? I guess it's time. Let's hit some summary stuff. So last time we started off on the western banks of the River Loon after you all had separated from the Eskerdalians who were going south to the Grey Havens, delivering Mendir to the Elvish people. And the first thing that happened on your journey as you were heading west is that you found this kind of strange ruined stone stair in the middle of this wooded area, and it was kind of traveling up to nothing. It didn't connect to any sort of building. You looked around a bit. There were these scavenger birds that were roosted atop it, and I think that's when Ariniel and Erebon were able to kind of retrieve this leather sack that had some silver goods in it. Nearby, Gilly and Floy found a dwarf that had been killed by goblin arrows, and I think it was Floy who retrieved this knotted pendant from the body before you all spent some time, I think, to burn the body. In the foothills, a couple days later of the Blue Mountains, Erebon, you had an interesting moment where you discovered an entrance to what turned out to be an unmarked tomb, and your eyes were kind of playing tricks with you a little bit. Maybe they weren't, maybe they were. Inside, there were different sarcophagi. Most of them were like dwarven size, but there was one that looked to be a little bit bigger and had elvish runes on it, and it kind of gave you a hint as to possibly the name of who might be lying in here. You left those bodies undisturbed. You departed the tomb. You took Floyd's carving tools and you made sure that tomb was no longer unmarked. And so you kind of put the name of who was buried there, at least the elvish name. You didn't actually put the dwarf name. Outside the halls of Floyd's dwarven home, we're in the Blue Mountains now. We finished our journey. You saw that there were scattered trade between all sorts of different dwarven clans and merchants and such. And Floyd led you all to his family's halls. And there, you met his mother, who looked. We are playing it so that the dwarven women are indistinguishable from dwarven men, unless you are in fact a dwarf. And so, but she was a very lovely woman, very friendly. We learned that Floyd was the youngest of 12. She gave you food and beer and all sorts of water for Erebon. And you also encountered your patron, Balin, from who Erebon actually hasn't even met. Now, you got a couple updates. Balin had been looking to try to speak with his wizard friend Gandalf, but hasn't been able to find him, though he does have a leave for the summer. But he was able to also notify King Dane of Erebor, and King Dane agreed to send some sort of dwarven scouts towards Mount Gundabad to kind of look into that war band that Rotag was amassing, seeing if any of them made it to Gundabad, something like that. Balin also gave you guys a rumor about a human king of old, the king of Arthedain. So one of the sort of three kingdoms that eventually Arnor kind of broke off into, and then eventually was reunited, sort of. But this king, sort of, the rumor was that they fled into the Blue Mountains during the invasion of Angmar. And they were pursued by some sort of creature from Angmar itself, and they were rumored to have left a bunch of treasure in those dwarven caves in the vaults to the north near the ice bay of Forest Shell. And so that was like something you could potentially go look into at some point, since Lottie has been moving around trying to collect all these different artifacts of Arnor and Arthedain and Cardolin and whatnot. So the other thing you all were interested in is trying to get a lore master, because something's going on with Floy. I think everyone kind of knows that. Every group you meet and have conversations with, they mention seeing horrible dreams and images and visions that often involve Floy or involve dwarf and elvish violence towards one another. And you got a lead that on the south side of the Blue Mountains, there is a lore master by the name of Hajolin, who is apparently obsessed with like rune carving and other dwarvish histories from the elder days. He's known to be a little bit of eccentric, hard to kind of locate sometimes, but he's from the dwarven halls of Harmelt, and he might be able to give you a hand into like what's going on, because a lot of this started I think post acquisition of the mithril chain shirt and stuff, which I think everyone's suspicious of, especially since one of the Rudauan clans was wearing something similar. So fairly thorough, and I think we're going to go ahead and start up. So I think we're staying here for a couple days, right? You said you all want to do a prolonged rest here, get a little breather. 3 days or so we were hanging out. Okay, so let me ask you really brief. What are your characters doing over the course of these 3 days to rest and recuperate? Not a full fellowship phase, just like a sentence or two or a little brief description of something you're doing over these days.
Gilly has been reading whatever they'll let me read, and she's been telling her stories that she has scribed about Floy to get, as Floyd's mom would say, it was properly appreciated. I assume like chiseled into walls or something. I think is.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
So you know how Floyd's mom was saying that just the stories of Floyd's in my book weren't good enough?
Right.
Like she said, it should be properly documented.
Right. So like there's large, like these big old tomes and things that they have. They actually have.
I thought they had.
Yeah.
No, I thought they also had like cool like.
Well, they do that too. They do that too. But usually, yeah, like it's less
real
about
special. Got it.
Yeah, they have books. Dwarves have books.
No, I know they have books.
Yeah,
I was just
okay.
assuming she meant better than just books.
Okay, so you want to try to like dig into whatever lore you can get. So, okay, so probably Floyd gives you a hookup with somebody around here, or Balin kind of speaks for you on their behalf, because otherwise they're not really too keen on lending dwarf history out to outsiders. But considering who you come with, and considering the voices of some of these well-known dwarves are speaking on your behalf, you do get to tap into a few things here and there. Most of it is not the most heroic, and it seems to actually be far more economic, and it kind of details the history of this particular house of dwarves, and has they like established their halls here, why they established here in the Arid Luin, like where like they have their mines, like various income, and it's again not very heroic but very economic. You can tell that Floyd's family is actually decently well off, not outrageously so, but for the families that remain in the Blue Mountains, they're probably more of the well off, or more of the more well respected of families that remain here.
Gotcha. Cool.
Okay. What else is everyone doing during your little prolonged rest here?
I think Erebon might actually be study buddies with Gilly on this. He would be trying to catch up on some lore that he might have missed over the past 1,000 years. Specifically, any sort of interactions the dwarves have had with elves.
Sure, roll a lore test, actually, since you're looking for something specific.
Gandalf. Great success.
Oh, look at that. So that's where he's been. He's been trapped in these dice. You would know that the Blue Mountain Dwarves do actually have some interaction with the Elves of Linden, your very people. And you know that there is some trade that still transpires between these halls themselves, actually. Probably some of Floyd's trader brothers and such, cousins and whatnot. You know that they do have some dealings with the folks of Mythalond and Grey Havens, and have tried to establish some relationships with Forlond and whatnot. It's more of like it's not the most friendly, but it's very business-like. Like these are just, we're exchanging, it's very transactional as opposed to allies of any specific sort.
Right.
But there does seem to be connection between them. All right. Floy or Iriniel, what have you been doing over your couple of days of rest?
Probably meet up with Jetty at the vault. Catch up with the Eloy's. His work.
Okay. All right. So you speak with Eloy, your friend, who we've seen before, who has been. He'll tell you like that he has been experimenting with trying to do this sort of rune carving, rune engraving that you actually see on your own armor, but hasn't actually discovered the secret. There's very limited documentation of it in your own family's halls. Like it's really just the fact that it's referenced that it's there, and there might even be maybe in your family's vaults an item or two. Not necessarily weapons all the time. Sometimes it could just be like circlets or bracers or things like that still have these ancient artifacts from the days of like Belagast or Nograd or anything like that. But they kind of just linger, passed down for generations upon generations upon generations. But unfortunately, the knowledge of it hasn't been passed down too. But he'll show you like a couple different items that he's tried to do. But ultimately, they're no real different than any other piece of equipment. And more than that, like some of the rune carving that he is doing is actually weakening some of the plates and things like that on the armor. And so he hasn't quite figured out those secrets, but would be very interested in knowing more. As for Jetty, your I think that was like the vault tender.
Yeah, that's right.
He has been, so he'll tell you that he has been a bit concerned that there has been a kind of a group of bandits, like these dwarven oathbreakers that they're kind of referred to as, who's been causing troubles for some folks going, from here sort of down to the southern peaks and even down to Mythland itself, and and there's certain treasures and trade that your family, your clan has been expecting, but they're either waylaid or never returns. And so you can tell that what originally began as kind of an irritation, just like a greedy person or two, Jetty's starting to worry that it might be more than that. Okay. Yeah, are you sure Eloy is not your brother?
I think we made him my brother.
Okay, Eloy is your brother. Okay. Because that is fairly common for like Eloy, Aloy, Deloy. Yeah, that does happen a lot. Finally, Aurenia, what have you been doing?
Floyd just got you all the names of his siblings right there.
Done. Just
you wanted the list.
Go through the alphabet and figure out what makes sense. Beloy, Deloy, Geloy.
Loy, Cloy, Gloy.
Aurenia, what have you been doing?
Aurenia had spent a bit of time over the last fellowship phase kind of working on her kind of explore, especially, kind of like blindfolded, whatnot. So kind of what she wants to do is she has not spent a lot of time in kind of her ranging being within mountain areas. So she kind of wants to poke around and, kind of go off by herself and kind of see what it's like to kind of be within kind of some of these like in mountain kind of mine areas.
So you want to go through like some of these tunnels and things, or do you want to go like over top? Okay, so you're trying to like perform some sort of tracking or something inside. All right. Would you like an explore test?
Okay. Success.
Okay, we'll say with that, you meet up with one of Floyd's brothers, named Boy, B-O-I. So terrible. No, that can't be right. We can't do that. You gotta treat it more seriously. Aloy. All right. So you meet up with one of his friends, middle brother, somewhere in the middle, right? Not necessarily high up like an old, but and we'll say that like this is he's more like a guard, so to speak. So he's there to ensure that the tunnels themselves are free from any real sort of harm. There are critters and things that kind of pop up from time to time. There's, depending on how far north you go, there's occasionally some bears and things you might run into, and some of the exterior caves. Nothing too far interior with how much the dwarves delve deep. But you travel around like the well-refined sections, which are like there's these beautiful bridges over these deep, huge chasms where you can't even potentially even see the bottom. There's these extraordinarily tall ceilings where you again can't really see the top. And eventually you get to more cramped quarters where you gotta move around here and there. And much like what Floyd says, Floyd's friend Jetty said, the issue lately has been less about like any specific, like there haven't been any real like, sites of goblins or anything like that. Like that hasn't really been an issue. He does reference that there are some kind of goblins that sort of embody the woods on the western slopes of the Blue Mountains, but they don't usually come into the mountains themselves. But they have been seeing some of the mining, some of the mines that still exist have been kind of getting hit lately by bandits or by disruptors and stuff. So it has been causing a little bit of trouble. And not only that, it has been kind of undermining the bottom line of Floyd's family. So like they've been coming with less income here and there. It's been kind of hurting them a bit. Not so much that there's cause for too much concern, But as you're kind of wandering around, you can tell that the tracks don't seem to be animal related that you find. It's more just kind of people doing things that they shouldn't.
Aurelian, knowing there's a joke in chat, by the way, that it's alloy.
I like it.
I like that. I would say that knowing that he is a guard, Aurelian will not go into a ton of details, but just kind of fill him in a little bit of kind of things to keep an eye out for, especially coming from the east and the north.
Okay. Sure. Roll a, let's see. What do I want you to roll for this? This is more just to see. This is going to determine whether or not he likes you. Roll a courtesy roll, I guess.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at courtesy.
You can do persuade if that's better.
Let's see. I'm not good at math. Persuade, I've got 1 and a target number of 17. Courtesy, I've got nothing and a target number of 14.
Okay.
You're hoping for a Gandalf either way.
Yeah.
I think the one with the pip is you have slightly better odds. But
Okay,
like it's
then
not a
I'll-
lot different. I
I'll
think
try
because it's an extra
persuade.
die, so an average
makes
roll
sense.
of a d6 is a 3.5. So I think that's like a 0.5. I don't know. I'm not great at that kind of probability.
And yeah, okay. All right, I'm gonna roll this and let's see what happens. I got a Gandalf.
All right, a Gandalf it is.
That's what you
All
needed.
right, so you can tell that like he actually takes interest in this. He's like, and he says, "You're saying that there's from all the way to the east where there's these problems. You think they're gonna reach all the way here, to the Blue Mountains? That seems unlikely, does it not?"
I would have said it would be unlikely that there would have been issues as far ranging as we've seen, but this is the situation we find ourselves in. It's better to be prepared.
Now, I agree with that, and I appreciate the warning. We to be fair, we haven't had much in the way of trouble, at least on a grand scale, in quite some time. Most of it's just petty pickering, folks stealing things here and there, bandits accosting merchants on the roads, up to the halls, and a few wild animals. Occasionally we might get a troll wandering about the mountains that causes trouble, but nothing en masse. I suppose we should redouble our efforts, our scouting patrols, ensure that, if nonetheless it would give folks something to do and not let them get too complacent. Complacency is the enemy of, well, a lot of things, to be honest. There's probably a phrase in there somewhere, but I'm not the scholar of the family, and I'll just stay home and make sure we're safe. Floyd's the one who gets to go out and have the adventures, but, so be it.
He is quite good at that, and our friend Gilly might be able to come up with a snappy little phrase for that, but I agree with you. I think broadening some of those scout routes may be useful, and if nothing comes of it, then nothing comes of it, but like you said, it gave folks a good
Indeed.
purpose.
I've been meaning to talk to you about your friend Gilly. She's been making some of the boys uncomfortable. She's apparently sketching them. Is this a common thing?
She does. She draws everything she sees. She writes down everything that happens, and she draws lots of things that she sees. Though I will say she does seem to take a liking to dwarves in particular, so I'm not going to say that is not a thing. But yes,
Okay.
I can always have a conversation with her if this is becoming problematic, but I don't
No,
imagine
it's
we'll
just-
be here for too long.
Fair enough. It was just it's really not common practice for us, We don't really draw each other in that regard. But no, maybe it's one of these hobbit things. It's fine.
I think she is just so smart and really just, is our historian. And so what better way to track the history of things that have happened than to write them down and draw the things that you see.
You make a very good point, Aurelian. I will convey that sentiment to the boys, and I'm sure they'll accept it. No problem. Okay, then. I think we should start returning.
Thank you for taking me through your home.
I'm more than happy to do it. Any friend of my younger brother is a friend of the family and a friend of mine.
It's very nice to see.
Okay. So, yeah, a couple days pass. You feel a lot better. You do a little odd projects here and there. Nothing too long, but it's really just sort of getting the travel rust off. Floy spends some time maybe with his friends and his family a little bit. And eventually, Balin comes and speaks with y'all and says, have you all decided which path you're going to take?
Yes, this is where Floyd says, yes, we're going north, but then interrupted by the entire party saying south.
That's exactly what would happen.
You really got up. I see there's a bit of a disagreement amongst all of you.
I believe that the majority has chosen south.
I see. Well, I believe we're going to be travel partners for a bit, as I am heading in that direction as well. We can travel together. I've got a wagon. If the roads themselves are rocky, but there's a few paths side now, if you're interested in traveling that route.
Absolutely, we would enjoy the company.
Wonderful. I'm very... It'd be lovely to sort of catch up and hear more about your adventures. Yeah, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So let's... It's a really short journey, so I'm not going to kind of go into too much worry about it. It's pretty much a straight shot. So we're kind of do a quick version of this. Floyd, just give me a travel roll, and that will determine whether or not anything crazy or major happens.
We're removing 3 fatigue then.
3 fatigue. So you spent 3 days hanging about.
Great success, Gandalf.
Another Gandalf. Is that 3 rolls in a row that we had
so
Gandalfs?
Oh, that showed up as an Eye of Sauron to me. I got really excited. It's doing that thing again, Melissa. It's doing that thing.
I saw it as a Gandalf.
I saw it as an Eye of Sauron. I am the lore master, so I feel like...
But the majority has chosen Gandalf.
Hometown advantage, Gandalf.
I'll tell you what, the minute one of you four run this damn game, you can go it. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. All right. Sure. So, yeah, you guys kind of get a couple supplies from Floyd's family, from other folks around. Balin's got this what looks like a fairly nice looking wagon. He's got a handful of some sort of crates and barrels and things in the back, trade goods and whatnot. And he says, if anybody wants to hop aboard, the ponies are quite strong. I could take probably 1 or 2 of you. Not everyone, unfortunately, if that's all right. This is where you guys respond. I say something, and then it's that conversation thing.
Sorry, we're talking about Gilly's boudoir.
Oh, God.
Sorry, I was getting caught up on chat.
That's all right. Okay. All right, so it's a couple days travel, and I'll say on around the second day of travel, the weather itself starts to get a little dicey. Some rains kind of kick up, those thunderstorms once more. You can tell that most of it seems to be most of the precipitation seems to be hitting the western sides of the slopes, but you're still getting tons of wind, and you're getting kind of this runoff here. And you can see a few times there are these sluices that sort of form and sort of wash bits of the road away here and there, and you kind of have to backtrack and bypass, but most of the time, the journey itself isn't too difficult. I need, let's see, the scout. Who is normally our scout? Explore test?
Gilly likes to do that. Or do I do that?
That's Airbon, right?
That's
Yeah,
Airbon.
I do the
Okay.
explore. Sorry,
Airbon,
she knows
roll an
awareness.
explore test. All right.
Great success.
Okay. So during one of these heavy bits of rain, you can notice that like the road ahead, the path that you're on. And when I say road, understand them using that kind of colloquially, and you can see it kind of washes out, and the wagon that Balin is in, and whoever else decided to hop on with him, who we still haven't established,
Gilly.
starts to, like, you can see the as you're trying to sort of turn it around and doing this 3-point turn as the ponies begin to go a little bit crazy. You can see that the wagon, as you're backing up, the wheel goes over the ledge, and it looks as though the whole darn thing is about to collapse and go tumbling down the foothills. Now, fortunately, you're all able to sort of see this immediately, and you kind of all start kind of going towards it. So just describe exactly how you're helping out in this situation. Everyone just give me like a quick thing. How would you help prevent this wagon from going over?
It's not moving too fast, right? So we're able to
No.
stop it in time.
You're absolutely able to stop it in time. It's more of a, like, the wheels just kind of like the back wheels went off the edge as it was trying to like 3-point turn around. And so now it's just like the ponies are straining to try to keep it up, and it's really very difficult. So like, just how are you kind of getting this back on the road and preventing it from falling?
I would try to find some sort of lever. If there's nothing better, I would use my own spear to try and wedge it under the wagon, just to at least keep it in place enough that the ponies can pull it forward without sliding further back.
Yeah, maybe you like even just splinter the side of the wagon and take one of the boards from the side and just shove that down there to get it ready. What else is everyone doing?
Gilly, you have that the rope and the. Sorry, I'm blanking on
It's a hook. Yeah.
Yeah, the rope and the hook.
Which Gilly will help, or like get that put in, then we can try and like pull it to ride it.
So you kind of like get the grappling hook, and you like wrap it around some sturdy piece of stone along the side of the road and kind of tie it to the wagon so the wagon doesn't collapse, and you actually release some of the strain on the ponies itself. How does Floy can contribute to this moment?
Yeah, I'll like calm the horses down, give them a little bit of encouragement. It's like, come on, guys, you can pull this out.
Okay. All of you watch as Floy is there trying to calm the ponies down. And normally Floy actually does have a fairly decent hand, because he has his own pony that is back at Coombe, I think. But you notice that as he's doing so, as he's trying to calm them down, the stress, like they're no longer pulling as hard on the wagon because the rope is kind of giving them some rest. One of them just reaches out with its mouth and snaps right on top of Floyd's hand. Floyd, you have to yank your hand away before it just like rips a finger off, and you pull your hand away and you see like it cut through, like a piece of your glove or gauntlet that you're wearing has been crumpled or torn, and blood is dripping down onto the ground as like there's puddles of water, and you can see like this bit of this depression where one of the wagon ruts went through is now kind of filling with this reddish tinted water from where your blood has dripped down into it.
Ah, you beast! Why'd you go and do that?
The other one like rears back a little bit and almost throws its front legs as if it's swinging at you at this point. And all of you are watching this. These like you're all kind of going your own, doing your task. Erebon, you're doing the best you can to kind of pry up the back of the wagon to try to get the wheels back on. Gilly and Iriniel, you're kind of doing this sort of pull. Balin is helping in on that as well, and you kind of look over and you see the ponies just going crazy and almost like attacking Floy as he tries to calm them. How do you all react to that?
Iriniel will yell over to Floy and just say, "Just come over here. Just come over here and pull, and I'll deal with the horses."
I'll give you a hand there.
Okay.
Try to.
Erebon panics a little bit because he's in the path that the wagon would go down if those horses don't keep pulling. So he's definitely yelling a little bit, probably angrily, some sort of elven curse word.
So So we'll say maybe Auriniel and Floyd kind of switch places in some ways, or like Erebon is screaming something in Elvish, and I don't know how much of you all speak Elvish, like just dropping some 4-letter Sindarin words or something. And
Elvish is
Auriniel
normally a
would
pretty
know.
language, but it's not
Yeah.
pretty right now.
Auriniel, you would know what he's saying. Actually, I think we established you do speak Elvish.
Yeah.
So yeah, you look over and you see him straining red kind of coming to his face as he's like, you could see he's putting a lot of effort into this. And eventually you're able to, with Floyd kind of pulling now with the ponies calming and listening to Auriniel as the rain continues to pour down on you all, you're able to get the wagon back up onto the road. And you can see, Erebon, that although you were able to save the wagon, a couple barrels or 2 barrels that just flew off the side and kind of smashed and went deep down the foothills. You're not very high up the mountains themselves. You're probably kind of halfway up the slopes a bit. But 2 of them were lost, and it would be a significant climb to go down and back up to get them. And even Balin's like, man, it's occupational hazard. Everyone take 2 fatigue.
But we just gained back some.
This is called journeying. It's a fatigue mini game.
I don't like it.
Yes, you
So-
do. Shut up.
I do.
Auriniel kind of wants to look around a little bit just to try to see if there was something that was sparking or spooking the horses, or if this is again seems to be like Floy is the common denominator in these things.
Roll an awareness test, or a scan if you prefer.
I prefer awareness.
All right.
Great success.
You look around and there's, it's hard to see. Again, rain's pouring down, but for the most part, you're not having too much difficulty kind of scanning up and around the slope that it continues to go up. You do see like about 50 or so feet up the slope, there looks to be some sort of carving, like it looks like a half completed dwarven face, like someone was carving into it. The other half is just sort of this rough rock that hasn't yet seen attention, if it ever will. But aside from that, you don't notice anything that might cause attention. You don't see any traps on the ground or anything like that. And I would say after kind of a good look around, they were upset for the situation, but when you went over there, you had no real difficulty in calming them down.
Mm-hmm. And Auriniel will point out to Floy and Erebon because they had found the carving utensils a little bit back, that there was some carving that was being done up in that tree, but I'm not sure that would have been enough to spook the horses. Floy, I just think this is another reason why going south was the better thing. There's just something about you that it's just spooking so many different people and creatures that we come across.
I don't know what it is. Might have touched it in the wrong place. Said something it didn't like.
Well, next time don't poke it right in the nose when you're trying to pet it. You got to go on top of the nose. Don't poke at it. Maybe that'll work. Don't you have, maybe if you kept your horse with you, you'd know these things.
Okay. You quickly, again, the roads are kind of getting muddy, and like the path that you're on, you backtrack a ways. You find kind of a shallow cave that you can kind of set up, get out of the rain a bit, camp out, get a fire going, dry off your clothes, feed the ponies and stuff. Make sure that any sort of problems with the wagon itself are quickly repaired. It's not too difficult to sort of get yourself situated, stay out the night there. When morning comes around, you can see that the And the ground itself is still a bit damp outside this cave, but it doesn't look as though any storms are still out. The clouds are, the sky is fairly overcast, and you can still hear kind of this distant thunder off to the west, as if maybe more storms are en route. But before you really kind of get going too badly, like you kind of you get your food and you have your breakfasts and you load up the wagon, kind of begin again, you notice that you see a figure kind of moving down the road, coming from the direction you were headed, kind of coming towards you. Definitely a dwarf, you can tell just from size. They're kind of stumbling around a bit. You can see they've got some sort of heavy kind of blanket or coat over top of them, and they're kind of like moving a bit and like limping. Stumble at one point, they get up and sort of curse to themselves and kind of get up, and you can see they're covered in mud now, and they're kind of closing in on where you all have been camping.
Could I do a check to see if there's anyone around us? Like maybe this dwarf is a diversion. I want to make sure we're not going to be ambushed or anything like that.
Awareness.
Do I get to use my armband of the Mirdan
If you want.
to detect danger?
Sure.
And also allowing the player to achieve a magical success?
Indeed. Go ahead and roll it anyway. See how good of a success you get.
That's a Sauron, but it's a great success. Oh no, it's a 3 because it was favored.
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
Sauron did not happen.
Okay. You don't notice like any other figures around. Like you don't see like anybody else in the area. You do notice as he kind of stumbles and gets up, there is a glint of metal, as if so. There's like a weapon, and you take a peek, and you're pretty sure it's some sort of sword that looks to be in better condition than the rest of his outfit, which is definitely ragged. But then the sword itself was like, as he was getting up, there was like a glint of the morning sun off to the east, kind of came off of it, and it looks to be well kept. And it's the nicest thing that he seems to have on him as he's continuing to move forward you.
I would whisper to the group then that he is armed.
I'll come up to him. Oh, you're right, cousin.
What? Oh, well, hello there, cousin. Maybe. Are we cousins?
Yeah, I could be distant. What are you doing out here?
Well, just traveling home, of course. I got separated from my party and looking to work my way back. Got lost in the storms, and now I can't seem to tell north from south, east from west, I think. Definitely a bit lost, cousin, if
The road you were
possibly-
traveling was north.
Is that an elf you've got with you? You travel with curious company, cousin. Curious company indeed.
He is a bit of a curious one, but what he speaks is true.
Oh, well, I seem to have gotten myself turned around. You know that the road up ahead has been washed out. I'm going to have to descend down a bit and find another one of the switchbacks across. Or you can also, I think there's another one of these goat paths that maybe goes up further. I could lead you. You could lend a hand, I wouldn't mind riding in is that a wagon right there? My feet are just giving me all sorts of fits. I'm familiar with the parts. If you'd want.
The lost dwarf is offering to guide us, I say to the group.
A funny elf. Well, that's a find indeed, cousin. Quite a treasure you have.
I believe we're going the opposite directions.
Oh, well, what direction are you headed?
What direction were you headed?
I go where the wind takes me. I'm between obligations currently. So if you need a guide, I am available for hire. If you're not familiar with these parts,
I appreciate the offer, but
everywhere, tons of them. A whole colony of them off to the south. You've got to be very careful of.
Goats, did you say?
Goblins. There's
Goblins.
goats as well, but they're not as dangerous.
we can offer you a moment of respite, but I think it's best if we go our ways.
Is that bacon or smell? Did I
Boy,
interrupt your
I
fast?
think one of your kin could share the fire for the night. As for hire, I am not sure we do need the assistance.
We're happy to share our food with you.
Ugh, it is morning, by the way. So this is after the
Sorry.
night.
I wouldn't mind a bite if that's all right.
Yes, please come. There's plenty.
Wonderful. Oh,
And you see him coming in, kind of greets Bal and the rest of you, like, oh, and looks at Gilly. What?
hello.
Hi, have a seat. Dinner, breakfast is almost ready.
My mouth is watering a bit. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Are you
God.
ill?
Oh, just a touch of the rain, that's all. Yeah.
Okay.
A fire for a few hours will dry me clear on out, I'm sure.
Erebon takes a small step back with each cough.
So what is your name?
Oh, I'm Snagit.
Snagit.
Snagit, it's a
Okay.
pleasure to meet you. Snagit, son of Snook. Yes. My father has since fallen, of course. It's been years, but you don't want to hear my life story. How's the breakfast coming?
And Gilly starts like dishing stuff out to people.
That's quite lovely. Thank you very much.
We have time over breakfast if you would like to share your story, though it seems the better idea for you to stay here by the fire when we do continue on our way. It might be better for your healing.
Nonsense.
Where
I
are you
have to
heading?
repay such kindness. Like I said, I'll go where the wind takes me. And if there's, as I said, I'm between obligations currently.
You
and,
did say you were going home, so where is home?
Well, the mountains are my home, technically. Right, cousin? You know this? Yeah.
Yeah, but where are your halls?
Well, I don't have any of my own halls, per se. But I do have cousins with halls who would gladly entertain me for several days, certainly. Well, there's the Harmelts to the south. They know me quite well. In fact, the middle brother and I, we did some goat herding together. That's right, we did. Indeed, we did. And off to the north, there's the Footbecks, and they're lovely folk. You know them, cousin. They're the ones very good, with stone. They got the quarry, but he knows. Yeah.
Oh, that's delightful. We're heading to the Harmelts.
Oh, perfect. I can show you the way. I know it quite well. As I said, they're good friends. What brings you to the Harmelts? What business do you have? Trade? Are you merchants? I see you've got a wagon, mostly full of something.
No
What are you
trade.
carrying there? No trade. Oh.
As I said, we do not have any spare coin to hire you as well. So if you wish to join us as a companion, I'm sure we could accept that, but we cannot offer you a position as guide.
No extra coin. food, company, tails, other ways to pay. Besides coin, elf, you have a very pessimistic view of our kind, does he not, cousin? He seems to think all we care about is treasure. Now, there's far more to us. The clan and family and good tales and good ales.
And he kind of slaps Floy in the back.
So which of the brothers are you close with?
Oh, that would be Alden. Yes, he's forgot. When you're part of a big family, you can get lost in the middle, and he's one of the middle ones. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Up on the hills, he's a master of goat herding. You see. Mm-hmm. His goats produce the sweetest milk. Oh, it's quite refreshing.
I feel like in unison we all just sort of
We all turn to look at Floy.
Well, he seems friendly. He's welcome to join.
And this has nothing to do with a potential hookup for some fresh milk for you once we reach our destination.
I could clearly put a word in for you with my good friend Alden. Absolutely, I would be happy to make an introduction. Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Right, well, we might as well get going. Daylight's wasting.
We
absolutely
have been told several times that there are goblins nearby. Can you handle yourself in a fight?
Can I handle myself in a fight? Of course I can. I'm a dwarf. All dwarfs can handle themselves in a fight. Where did you find this comedian of an elf, cousin?
Can I do like a cursory heal test to see if I can see why he's if it's really just because the cold and he was wet?
Sure, yeah. Go ahead and roll heal.
I think he just had a bit of the hobbit sleeve.
I'm gonna put a -1 penalty on it as he's kind of covered up, and so there's not a whole lot to go on. But yeah.
Okay.
Do you want any help with that?
The thing gives me 2, so I'll just do my 1 extra dice then and see.
Cool.
Great success, but there's an eye of Sauron.
There's no success actually.
Okay.
It's a failure.
Oh, I don't know why for me it said great success on my screen.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been weird stuff's been happening with the Saurons, and the Gandalfs lately. But no, I see the rest of you.
With the numbers, it should be.
I see great.
Yeah.
I see failure.
You see great failure. She didn't just fail.
She
greatly failed.
I'm the Sauron, so
you now have whatever he has. Okay.
This is Erebon's worldview.
Why do you think he's taking a step back?
I mean, there's nothing obvious. He is covered, so he's got that kind of coat that he's pretty much wrapping himself around in, and the only time he reaches out is when he kind of grabs the breakfast, your breakfast bowl from you, excuse me. And you can see his hands are kind of wrapped up with some kind of leather gloves, and only the tips of his fingernails are sort of sticking out. But other than that, he's kind of fully kind of covered up. His hair is kind of wet and stringy, you can tell. He's not the most attractive dwarf in the world, and his beard is a bit shabby. Doesn't have the finely groomed quality that Floy does. But there's nothing you can tell from just sort of staring at him.
Gilly will approach Erebon if we're kind of away from him and be like, I'm not sure what his sickness is, but perhaps we should keep an eye.
If I were to hazard a guess, his sickness would be delusion. I do not believe he knows these clans as well as he suggests.
Oh, wait, they were talking about oath breakers. I'm concerned he might be one.
He definitely seems to be some sort of exile.
Yes.
But who am I to judge?
Takes one to know one.
I mean, I don't really know much about exile, but it does sound lonely. And then Gilly will kind of like pat you on your what she can reach of your shoulder, and and she's like, "Just keep."
I stand
up
upright as you go to pat, so you just get my upper leg.
She gets like your elbow. All right, well, thanks. And she'll go to like continue packing up her stuff to go.
Okay. You know, he finishes up the breakfast and he continues to talk and he moves around and he goes,
Anything I can do to help?
and he kind of like, you see him sort of talking to Balin and everything like that.
If you need help kind of moving things around, what is it you have? What are you holding here? You've got...
If you've spent time in the area, we would be thankful for some news. We've heard tale of oathbreakers in the area. Have you encountered any of them?
Sure, yeah, it's a fair shame. Indeed, there's apparently there was a group of dwarven folk who gave up their positions in mine when one of the clans they refused to pay them their proper wages and share and now there's all sorts of trouble. What's it? That are excuse me, I beg your pardon. Tickle in the back of my throat. They you know how it is, labor management, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm.
It seems a bit extreme to label them as oathbreakers simply because they did not wish to work in the mines anymore.
Well, I mean, that's a fair point. It's a fair point. It might be extremist language, but they took an oath to work within the mines until they were dry, and, well, I mean, and they didn't, and so they broke the oath. It's, from a literal sense of the word, seems to be an accurate statement. But then again, you could make the argument that, well, management didn't necessarily provide the proper safety precautions, and I heard rumor that there was some sort of trouble down there, that they were not looking too keenly to continue their work within, conditions being dangerous. and that seems to be the source of the disagreement. I, of course, don't have a position one way or the other. They're all cousins, are they not, cousin? Right, cousin?
Yes, cousin.
Should we worry about encountering any of these oathbreakers on our trip south?
Oh, I wouldn't imagine that they would be a problem for you all. And don't worry, you've got 2 dwarves with you. 3 dwarves with you, I beg your pardon, sir. And that probably is enough.
That one doesn't talk much. I wouldn't trust him in a fight.
With this one here, he looks quite sturdy. He points to Floy.
Wait, Balin, he's our patron.
and you can see like Balin's he's sitting in the wagon and he's kind of holding the reins of the pony. He's just sort of like dozing off a little bit.
Right.
He's
Well,
got-
this conversation's lovely, but we need to go. And Gilly
Right.
starts shooing people. Let's go.
Sure, go on.
And Rennie will just sort of say to him, like, it seems that up ahead would be, I think, the ideal place for you. If you are scouting out our path, it seems like staying ahead of the wagon is exactly where your services would be best used.
I would absolutely. I would be happy to do that. I am a mountain man, so they say, dwarf. Yeah, I know all the trails and such. Like I said, the path up ahead has been washed out. We're gonna have to take a different route. Now, fortune for you that you've come across someone as knowledgeable of the area as I. There are multiple routes we could take. Some more quick than others. Just depends on you know.
Reniel will just suddenly sort of be, I realized that I need to just take a few minutes. I'll be right back. And so she wants to try to sort of leave them all and see if she can scout ahead and verify that the road is actually out. Like while they're
Reniel's leaving the fellowship.
Chat.
We could replace her with a dwarf.
Snagic. Sorry. Okay.
Because he keeps saying that
Could
the
you
road is
imagine
out. We have
Melissa
to go a
doing that
different way.
voice?
No. Please try. Please try. Melissa, give that voice a try.
No.
Okay. So explore, is that what you're looking to do, or is there a specific role you wanted to make here?
I'm wondering, and obviously I'm playing to what I do best, but I wouldn't mind an athletics with Swift playing into account.
Sure, just like running
I'm
really fast
trying
to get there.
Quickly get up there and back.
Yeah, it's not like it's a difficult thing to find. You just want to get there and back without raising attention. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So athletics with my Swift. Hey,
Another Gandalf.
another Gandalf.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's
13.
everywhere but in the body.
Yeah, you run up. You kind of take a dead sprint, and yeah, you do in fact see that. No, it's definitely washed out. There's definitely something like you're not on a road. It's really just it's a mountain path, but you can tell the mountain path has been disrupted.
Okay. So it would appear that his story checks out.
Yeah. Well, you guys don't trust him.
Erebon kind of likes him, actually, except for the coughing.
It's the coughing that has me freaked out, especially when
It's not the coughing so much as the 5 separate times that he's asked what's in the wagon.
yeah.
So Reniel will just suddenly like pop up behind everyone.
Oh, shit.
He turns around, stabs. Oh,
I'm sorry, I thought I was trying to help.
and Reniel falls dead. So yeah, Reniel pops up.
So Reniel will kind of pop around and just kind of whisper to Gilly, I ran ahead and the road is indeed out. So
Okay.
he
We'll just
he
have to-
speaks truth.
We'll just have to trust Floy and Snagget's decision of which would be the best way to go.
Drew, you break your conversation and you look over and you see Snagget is looking at the two of you as you're talking.
Hi. Hello.
How you doing? There's nothing to worry about with me. I am very trustworthy.
I think we're about ready to take off then.
Master Dwarf, would you mind if I joined you taking the lead? No, the other Master Dwarf. No, the other Master Dwarf. Snag it.
Me? You want to come with me? Sure, yeah. I would be happy to have such regal company to come with me.
I try to like twist my cloak a little bit so the hood kind of like covers my lower mouth, just so I'm not breathing in as much of what he's coughing. But of course, keeping my 6 feet distance, I would go forward with him.
Okay. And so, yeah, you guys go up and he gets a little closer and he tries to like slap you on the back a little bit.
It's like,
Every time he takes a step towards me, I take a step away
What's wrong?
till like we're off the trail entirely.
Be careful, you're gonna. You don't want to go forward now and then. There's no coming up from that gorge. We've lost many a healthy pony down there in our time. Be careful.
I will indeed be careful. And I'm like 5 feet off the path at this point, and it's like the steep rocks that are like really difficult to travel, but it's better than being close to them.
Okay. So yeah, you guys travel for the day, and you figure, if it's fast enough, like you might be able to get to Harmelt in a day. It might take slightly more than a day. It sort of depends. Throughout the day, Snagget frequently engages you in conversation, Erebon. Like every 15 minutes or so. and he keeps asking you questions like,
Oh, I've never seen such a motley band of folk together. There's a couple of dwarves and whatever the young one is, and an elf such as yourself, and the one with the helmet. She looks like she's a warrior type human of sorts. What brings such an eclectic group together on more mountain roads?
As we said, we're heading south.
Well, I was more curious, for what purpose is it? You said not to trade, but you have a wagon filled with, well, mostly filled with what seems like goods of some kind. It must be quite expensive, whatever's in there, I would imagine, to keep it sacred from good friend Snaggick, right?
Honestly, I'm not sure what the goods are. I do not believe they are expensive. Otherwise, we would have guards.
You're not guards. You aren't capable warriors.
I do not think of myself as a warrior, no.
Ah. So what is your purpose in the party, then?
That is a rather difficult question to answer.
Huh.
I'm afraid I do not know the answer.
Oh. That's a shame. Well, alright. It's good to have purpose. It's a shame when they take it away from you, you know. The thing that you've worked your entire life for is just snatched out from underneath you. Yeah. Anyhow.
Yes, I cannot say that they took it away from me. I wonder if I took it away from myself.
Self, what's the phrase? Self-sabotage, is that what you mean?
Yes.
You see, sabotage, that's one of the things that apparently these oathbreakers, apparently they've quite a hand of that as well, you know. Some of the tools, some of them machinery, tools, even some of the very tracks and paths that dwarves use to bring the goods up and down from the mines as well.
How so? How do they sabotage?
Oh, well, dwarves are very industrious folk, as I'm sure a person of your stature would know, Master. Did I ever get your name?
I'm not sure if you did.
No. Anyhow, well, the thing, when you know the area that you work in so much, so well, you tend to know exactly where a little bit of trouble would hurt the most, you know? So whether it's a track with the mine carts coming up that you rip up, or whether it's a lift that you cut the pulleys from so that the goods below that are heavy could get up to the higher levels, or whether it's a road where, you know, merchants commonly travel with all sorts of goods and things, and you just rip it up a bit with your picks and your shovels and whatever other tools you might have.
So you believe this road was intentionally washed out?
Oh, of course not. Oh, Mother, I would think that's more nature. The winds and the rains and it's providence. If it wasn't
Strange
for that, we would
coincidence
not
still,
have met.
though. If there are oath breakers in the area and they're well known for this type of sabotage.
Well, as I said, and as you agreed, oathbreaker seems a bit of a strong term. Some
Yes,
of us have a
I-
different term for them, of course.
What term would that be?
Oh, well, we called him, you know, I didn't think you were going to follow up with that question so fast. I thought I had more time to come up with something. But, we call him, what do we call them? We call them,
You must not call them
brother.
this very often if you don't know the word.
We call him brother, you know, we call him father, uncle, sister, cousin. Yeah, that's what we call them.
I do remember Floyd calling you a cousin.
Oh, he and I go way back, of course. Well, our families do. Yeah.
Oh,
Not
you know
that
Floyd
his-
that well.
Well, I know his family. They've mighty holes, that family. Certainly they do. Mighty holes.
I'll be
So,
honest, I was not very impressed with Floyd's family.
Oh, well, you have very high standards. They are more around these parts. They are some of the richest. Silver and gold and gems.
But
and
like you
such.
said, coin is not everything to a dwarf.
Sure, food though. No, they never have to go scrounging for food or scrounging for ale. And they certainly don't have to lift, a finger to do much of their own work, because they have people who do that for them. Oath breakers and such, who are supposed to do all the heavy lifting, while his family lives sweet and soft in their fancy little apartments in their halls, and the rest of us, well, we travel these roads in the rain, and we get coughs that just never seem to leave us.
Well, as I said, there was a reason I was not that impressed with them. And I think you have come close to expressing the idea.
Oh, we may be cousins, but we certainly aren't friends, and we certainly aren't equals. His people have seen to that for quite some time, if you ask me. No, they're the ones who probably forced these Oathbreakers into breaking their oaths to begin with. Couldn't properly seal off the vents, so that horrible gas that comes swooping up out of the abyss below doesn't get into everyone's throats and lungs, cause them to do all sorts of strange things. Vomit, cough, sleepless nights. But again, they wouldn't know much about it in their, as you put it, very unimpressive halls.
With those sorts of conditions, I don't think anyone could be blamed for breaking an oath.
Yeah. Master Elf, there's many a rumor about your kind. Some of us have had encounters. I must say, you are far more reasonable than I would have expected. And that's
I
what's
haven't
going to
spent
make...
much time with my own lately.
Well, you're not missing much. You seem like a down there sort of fella. Salt of the earth, Willing to...
There are some that would also call me an oathbreaker.
Oh. Well, that's interesting to hear. I wish I would have known that sooner. That's what's going to make this so terribly difficult.
And then he just goes, and you guys see, like, up on the ridge above the line, like above you, you see, like, all sorts of these small little stones and dirt begin to kind of fall and kind of dribble down as behind all these different rocks coming out of these small little holes and caves, you see 2, 4, 10, 12, 20 of these dwarves all kind of popping out of these different holes. They've got scraggy clothing on. You can tell that they look to be somewhat, they have that their complexions seem to be difficult. Gilly, you can tell just by looking at them, they look sickly. And they all have some kind of weapons on them. You can see a few of them have, short bows and such, axes, mining picks, hammers. You are thoroughly outnumbered, and not only that, but you appear to be kind of outflanked. And that's at that point, Erebon, that like Snagit kind of reaches into his cloak here. And
Now, Master Elf, this can go smoothly. Give us what's in the wagon. You know what? Give us the wagon. Yeah, and the ponies. And the rest of you can go on your way. Easy peasy.
I'm afraid the wagon and the ponies and what's in the wagon are not my possessions to give away. However, I would gladly help you if I could.
Well, I think that's exactly what you're gonna do. You're gonna walk on over to your friends right there, or your traveling compatriots, or whatever term you want to use. As you and I know, a label is such that, but it doesn't tell the whole story, whatever you refer to them as. And you're gonna convince them that the nicest and easiest way that this is going to transpire is for that old dwarf to pop on out of that wagon and go ahead and let me just drive it on away. And then you all can just continue south as if nothing happened.
I'm afraid I don't have a way with words.
Well, you're gonna have to try to find one, I think.
Now, off you go. And he kind of has the sword. I'm like pointing in that direction.
Now, we might not look like much, but you see up there, that's old Sandy. Sandy, say hello, wave to the elf.
And you see Sandy kind of waving down.
Sandy might not be an elf, might not have elf bows and whatnot, but Sandy could pick an apple off a pig's ass from 100 yards. Now, I don't think you're an ass, but many people might claim elves are, and so I'm pretty sure Sandy can probably take you out from here. I don't want that to happen, of course, because you and I seem to be, of similar mind.
It sounds like a waste of an apple for someone that hungry. What a strange game.
Such a comedian he is. I found the only comedian elf in the entire world. You're not going to believe it. I mean, we're looking for treasures, sure. This might be the best one right here. But don't worry, I don't feel like taking you. I just want your things. That's all. Now go ahead. Come on, I'll fit you.
How far away are we from the group?
You guys are like 20 feet in front. It's not that far ahead.
Yeah.
We can see everyone popping
towards
up,
the
right?
group. And that's
Yeah, you guys see it all happening too. And so there's people have drawn bows. Like you can see slings are loaded. You can see folks have like axes.
We all saw it coming, but we didn't do anything to stop it.
Everyone saw it coming. This wasn't like a sneaky thing. Like, what do y'all want to do?
Seems we got company. What do you say we call their bluff?
It's a bluff. They need food. They look sick.
We can offer them a barrel of meals.
Is Balin awake yet?
Yeah, Bound's there. I just don't want. I don't like it when NPCs make.
No, I
all the
get it. I get
decisions,
it.
You know. Yeah.
But it's his stuff. Is my only thought.
Well, there's nothing here that can't be replaced. And if we did call their bluff flaw, well, I'm afraid that, well, whether they stab or poke or hurt one of us, or you stab or poke or hurt one of them, I think dwarf blood's going to be shed today. If you're comfortable with it, if it is something you relish.
Well, if you said
not at all.
There's nothing that can't be replaced, I see no reason for blood to be shed.
It's just some. He kind of goes into the back of the wagon, kind of pops up one of these barrels, and you look inside. Just toys. You see these beautifully crafted toys.
Do you have any children among you, Oathbreakers?
And Snagit says, I thought we were beyond that term. Yeah, that's fun. You know my name. I gave it to you freely. You never gave me yours, but I gave you mine. And do we have any children amongst us? No, we don't. But
what would you prefer to be called? I'm sorry, I did not mean to offend.
I would be called Snagit.
The collective you is what I meant.
We don't really have a need for group labels and such. We're perfectly fine for you to just hand over the goods, whatever they be, and we'll do with them as we please.
Well, then the unnamed collective is welcome to these toys, I assume, right, Balin?
Balin looks to Floy at that point.
If he says this is replaceable, yeah, might as well just give them what they want then.
I can.
It is
Can I always
unfortunate that there will be some dwarven children that were probably expecting these toys that won't get them, but that is your choice, not ours.
I can always get more toys from Dale. It is possible.
Snag I will say that you don't have to be limited by a label such as exile or oathbreaker, but you also don't have to choose to become thieves. We would have gladly assisted you.
I feel like their
Really?
opportunities have been limited enough.
It's interesting because when I asked and suggested I could help guide you there, you said, well, we don't have anything to pay you with.
I do not. I mean,
Well,
we did offer you food. Did you not fill your belly?
And it was delicious, I must say. They had bacon, everyone. Beautiful raw bacon.
And you can hear somebody like,
Yeah, I hope you save some for us. Hey, make them give us the food too.
Yeah, we were
Sorry,
also
Snag
bacon.
ate all the bacon we had.
you can see a couple of them are just like, yeah.
Is there a
Gilly
goal
doesn't.
that you all are working towards?
Yeah, to get some money and solidify ourselves. They kicked us, your people, cousin, your father, your uncle, or whoever it is that calls the shots there. You're the ones who couldn't ensure that all our working conditions were safe. And then when we started getting... when we started getting sick, and when dwarves started dying, you know what they did? You know what they did, cousin? Nothing. They didn't do nothing. We told them it wasn't safe down there. We told them we couldn't dig any further. We told them that the mines had run dry and it was time to move somewhere else, but they didn't listen and they said, keep going. And when we started cutting through the veins, digging into the earth, well, the earth started shooting stuff back at us, warning us no further, no further, no further. But the greed of your people, no, they didn't suffer from it. We did. We did. You see 20 folk up here, we used to be 40. But then the pox took them, and the other half, well, they're laying sick elsewhere, where we don't need to talk about. We come to your people and they said, hey, we're sick, we need help. But they helped? No, not at all. And they said, get back to work. And they said, well, you can't get back to work.
Erebon took another step away as he said pox.
You know, on second thought, fellas, you would not believe our good fortune. We got ourselves...
what is, does your clan have a name, Floy?
If they did, I didn't come up with one.
Like the Halls of Harmelt is like, for instance, where we're headed. Like, do you have like a name for the halls?
No, what would be some like recommendations? Could it be like anything?
Yeah, anything really. Anything that sounds dwarvy.
The Halls of Gladrock.
Of Bladrock, is what you say?
Gladrock?
Gladrock, okay. Yeah, I like it. I'll write it down. Okay. So, he calls up and he says,
He's like, fellas, you would not believe our wonderful fortune. We have stumbled across one of the sons of the halls of Gladrock. Now, there might be another option. Yeah, we could leave you with your wagon and your ponies and your whatever it is you have, and we can just relieve you of your little dwarf here. I'm sure his
No.
family would pay a pretty penny to have him return
And Gilly
safely.
Immediately denies it. She's like, no, you can have the wagon and the ponies. I was going to offer to
Here-
heal you, but if you offer to hurt Floy, then that will not be an option.
Oh, we don't want to hurt him. That would defeat the purpose.
Erebon
wanna
would kind
take
of
him.
give Gilly a look like, maybe we should consider it, but then see how angry she is and just like, okay, we're not doing this.
We just want to take them. That's all. And then we can start to do a proper valuation. We can see just how much his family cares for him. And see what they're willing to give up for him. That's all.
We already said you could take the wagon. You perhaps should not become too greedy as your previous masters were.
Oh, I'm greedy now, because I'm a dwarf. I'm greedy. Oh, see.
But you could consider yourself that it was still good fortune that you happened to come upon him. And if you make a reasoned argument as to what has been going on, perhaps bending his ear about what has been going on, he might be able to have a discussion with the rest of his clan about what is going on. Though I believe if you resort to kidnapping, that I do not believe that there would be open ears to hearing anything further.
Boy, you said quite a few words there. It was a well put together statement. I think it was convincing rhetoric. But I'll be honest with you, I think we'd rather just take the wagon and the ponies. So off with you. Come on, let's go. Off.
Yeah, at this point, we'll just hop off, get wobbling along.
All right.
Have at it.
And he whistles. A couple others come down. They hop up into the seat that Balin was in.
Now, well, here's what we're going to say. Why don't you all just wait here for, let's say, midday, take an early lunch, a few hours, and then you can proceed southward. And we'll be long gone by then.
And as like the wagon's kind of moving past, he like hops up in the back, and he's like kind of holding onto the edge as it's pulling away.
But if any of you all have any ideas of trying to track us down, well, we wouldn't be able to part in such good company. So, enjoy your travels. Goodbye, comedian.
Kind of waves at Erebon.
Snag it before you go, if I might.
I'm going. You better speak quick. The wagon's moving.
I feel that if my life had gone differently and I had people that I needed to protect, you and I may not have been so different. And I will pull off my armband and toss it to him.
The magical one?
Mirdon.
Why do I make up magical items to give to the party if Steven's just going to give them away?
I know.
Just give regular treasure. What the
He
fuck?
snatches it out of the air, and he takes a look at it.
Thank you kindly, comedian. Off you go.
And then he kind of reaches into his own pocket. Here, something for... And he kind of looks around. He doesn't have anything in his pockets. Opens up one of the barrels and grabs a toy and throws it back at you. And it's just this
It just kind of hits me in the chest and falls to the ground.
You try to catch it, but you're no good at it. It just hits you in the chest and falls. Okay. And off they go. Do you do what they say and wait?
Yeah, why not? What else do we got going on?
What were you... I don't understand what you were thinking. What magic did he put in your ears when you were talking earlier?
His people are in danger and this may keep them safe.
We are often in danger and are in need of keeping safe.
Aureliel, you've proven time and time again that you can keep yourself safe.
Their plight is important, but the battles that we fight are for more than just one group of dwarves, or one group of rangers, or one group of elves. And she's just gonna...
No matter
That's
the
just
number.
it. They don't know our fight that we fight. This is their fight that they have. And I get it, but I can't believe he thought he could just take Floyd from us. Are you kidding me? I would have killed him.
And like Gilly's just kind of stomping around, pissed off.
They're desperate. They wanted something.
Did your family really do that to them?
I don't know too much about that.
Maybe you should become a little more invested in your family's politics. And like Gilly's just mad all around at this point.
Aurelia will go over to Floyd and say, I think she's just worried about you. I
understand. It could be something to look into. All these people think they've been treated wrongly.
The state of their house does make a strong argument for their tale having truth to it. And Renil just sort of looks back at Balin and is like, it appears that you will now be walking with us, good sir.
He's like, don't worry about me.
I don't really remember what voice I was using for Balin. I always kind of forget it.
Like, don't worry about me. I've walked from this side of the world to that side of the world. These feet, well, they're made for walking, but every now and then I do quite prefer a little bit of a cushy ride.
This may cut into your nap time.
I've been sleeping long enough, I think.
All right. So do you guys hang around for a bit and then eventually continue on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So yeah, you wait, and then you travel. Storm kicks up again, and you have to actually travel in the rain for a little while longer. It's not as bad as the day before. Sometime early the next morning, you find yourselves finally kind of in range of the of like your destination. So I would say Floy, you would probably just know this, and so would Balin, to be honest. Both of you would probably have familiarity that the halls themselves. Oop, that's not what I meant. My bad. Sorry about that. There we go. The halls of Harmount are southern end of the mountain range, and they're atop a specific hill called the Stone of Fire. It's called that not because there's a fire or anything on it, but just because when the sun sets and stuff in the west, and there's forest, it's a forested hill and everything, and it kind of has this look to it. You know that the top of the hill has been hollowed out in this deep, wide bowl, and the halls are in this like kind of almost like a great cup of stone that's in the ground. And there's this open area outside, and like the air above, it tends to be used for meetings and feasts and things like that. And there's at the center of this large bowl, there's this kind of pond or pool that's been set up as well. Very kind of serene and beautiful looking at. There used to be a road that actually led up and through the forest and kind of wound around the hill 7 times before it reached the lip of it, but at this point those have been kind of removed because the lands beyond and kind of got unfriendly. And now the dwarves only really allow there's kind of more secret paths now to kind of get up there, and only other dwarves and other friends and stuff kind of know the way up there. But fortunately, you are one of those friendly folk. So you start moving up these hills, and you can see along the way there's all these different gatehouses and guard towers that are watching the road that lead up the hill. You're stopped a couple times by dwarven guards and watchers that are kind of looking at you with some bit of curiosity.
We look even more suspicious without the wagon.
Yeah, and they're like, what brings you to the halls of Harmelt?
We wish to meet, let's see, Hedjal, the Lord's brother.
The Lawmaster.
Yeah, that's right.
And they you can see he and the other dwarf that are kind of occupying this watchtower, they sort of exchange a curious glance.
What regarding?
Wish to seek advice about artifacts.
Good luck to you. I'm not sure if Hajalin is in, but you can speak Well, the Lord of the Halls, Magellan, is there with some of the other brothers. If you continue the path upwards, you'll find the Golden Halls. Excuse me, the Golden Walls. And, we have not had any business today, so you are in luck, as the Grand Lord Magellan will be more than happy to entertain you. Are you,
You are not traders, it seems, no merchant folk. Anything to declare?
The clothes on our back.
Goods or services?
Do we have a healer?
Well, that's good for you. We've got them as well. Fairly useful task and role for a proper civilized society. Well,
we had some items for trade, but we ran afoul of some folks on the path here.
each of their faces kind of like snarl up.
bandits and such?
Indeed.
Scraggly looking dwarves. Looked like they haven't had a wash for years.
You said it.
They were rather friendly. They treated us well.
Well, that's a different story than one we normally hear. How far up the road was it?
It was actually off the road. It was for veering so far off the road. Otherwise, I believe we would have not encountered them.
I see. Well, unfortunately, that land's outside of the domain of Lord Magellan, so we will not be making any reimbursements for goods lost. But we will, however, keep an eye out, of course, doing our normal scouts, to see if any of your belongings turn up.
There should be no need. They seemed very transient. I believe they were moving away.
No, they are a pox on these hills and these mountains. They live within some of these, some of the mines and the caves and such that have long been silent of pick and hammer. They seem to know the ways better than those who hunt them. But rest assured, we will find them and bring them to justice. Again, though, your goods will not be returned to you, as anything we do find at that point will be then used to properly reimburse the very halls that you now find yourselves in. Payment for services rendered, of course.
Again, there's no need for you to trouble yourselves. I'm sure they are gone from the area.
Well, Master Elf, is it? I'm sure that if I were in your woods, I wouldn't tell you your business, and so while you're atop my hill, you will not tell me mine. Is that understood?
I just assumed you weren't very good at your business, seeing that we were robbed on the way here.
Oh, if that's the case, if you turn around right now, and you continue to walk, we will not take you into custody for disrespecting the halls of Harmelt and our Lord Magellan with such insolence. The rest of you?
Do you let this elf speak for you?
We've had quite the journey in the rains of late, and I believe that our encounter has left all of us quite weary, and I believe that our elf friend would say different things were he to have a night's rest and some food.
Yes, I am very tired.
Apologize for
As Gilly's pinching your side.
we do apologize quite heartily for his disposition.
Well, I appreciate your apology. I think that apology would serve a greater purpose if it were uttered by the lips of the elf himself, that who aggrieved us. What say you, elf?
It might be something on the way out that might be better suited after a night's rest and a warm food. It seems that today is quite the
No,
trying day for all
Erebon,
of
please
us.
apologize.
That's
to
very
this little
presumptuous
geezer.
that we would allow such insolence within our hallowed halls.
I'll turn to Erennial. What was it we could do to the north again? Okay, I'll turn back to the dwarf. I apologize. I am very tired. I have not slept in months.
Oh, well, I'm sure you can get some rest within the halls, especially now that your attitude is a bit more palatable for the people that you seek to request assistance from. Oh, and as you move forward, perhaps a lesson is here. If you travel to someone else's home and you're going to request assistance from them, perhaps being kind might actually help you a bit. A little bit of lesson of courtesy, elf, free of charge.
Perhaps you can share some additional wisdom with us when we depart.
I would be more than happy
Erennial
to.
is just biting his cheek as hard as he can.
Erebon? Did you just call yourself a Erennial?
Erebon. Yeah, sorry. I was reading Erennial's name. My bad.
Okay. So after a bit of cajoling, and you can see grimacing from Balin, who's like constantly trying to like interrupt, and the guy just keeps going.
Oh God.
You're eventually let through.
Gilly's secondhand
Why didn't
embarrassment is sky high. She's like, really, guys?
Why didn't we let
You were
Balin
this
do the
close to
talking?
just getting turned around. You're just this close, like you weren't gonna get that inside. Oh goodness! All right, I could have asked for rolls, but that's fine. Okay.
Council here at the gates.
Gilly would have been like, Erebon, wait outside.
So you continue to travel upwards, like kind of winding up this hill a bit, and you can see there's other gates and stuff and things that you pass along the way, and signs of different buildings carved out of some of the stone of the hill, and again there's trees about as well, and so you can see there's some activity moving about. It's not nearly as populated as the halls of Gladrock from where you came from, Floyd's people. There's definitely far fewer people here. This looks to be, compared to Floyd's home, lesser, maybe a lesser, smaller contingent. But eventually you do find yourselves staring at these beautiful golden doors that are open. They're kind of in what looks like the burn of a hill, and they're quite tall, much taller than needed. And you can see that they're kind of coated in gold here and there, and they have all sorts of these strange runes and stuff inscribed in it, not elvish but dwarven. And there's a couple guards out front. You sort of announce your intentions to speak with Lord Majolan, who is the head of this house. And you're kind of let inside. Floy, roll a scan test.
Success.
Yeah. So as you all are kind of moving through, you notice that the hall that you're moving down, this corridor, everything is gold. Like all of you are looking at this, like all the walls, the paneling of the walls, the adornments and pillars, everything like that is gold. And at a certain point, Floy, you kind of notice a scratch in the wall, and even though the hall itself is just extraordinarily wondrous to look at, you see this scratch, and it reveals like underneath it, like there's some stone, and it kind of suggests to you that the walls themselves are not as they're much thinner than you think. They might even just be like golden paint over top of the stone walls itself. I'll tell you what, roll a d12 and pick high or low.
Hi.
Okay, go for it. You've been here before, probably, years ago. You're probably younger. Maybe you traveled with some of your brothers. And you can probably tell that the halls, the walls, all this stuff, you're not sure if it's just the difference in age. Maybe as a child you were more susceptible to the wonder of treasure and architecture than you are now. But things look thinner here. They look a little less impressive. To the rest of you, even Erebon, These halls are extraordinarily wondrous to behold. But to your keen eye, Floy, you can tell you would guess that this hall has perhaps fallen on some hard times. It is not like a dwarf hall to be so thin with its adornments.
Let everyone know, it seems our info was correct. They're running a bit dry.
So you're led into this chamber where you can see at the far end there is a very, very high table. And you can see in the center of that table, like on the opposite side of it, you see a kind of a grandiose chair. And you can see there's a dwarf sitting within it. And then there's 2 other chairs on either side. And there are more dwarfs as well. And you can see that they're all kind of watching as the 4 of you are brought in. And as we'll say, Floy and Balin are probably out in front, I would say, because they're dwarves themselves. Immediately upon entering, you can see that the folks are like they're whispering to each other, they're saying things to each other. The one in the center, which you presume is probably Lord Majolan, is kind of got this very stern look on his face. He's got a long, kind of flowing beard, wavy. You can tell that they're all wearing decently adorned clothes. You can tell there's some glittering armor and such underneath, and they definitely have some gems and jewels that are affixing their cloaks to their underneath the napes of their necks. But eventually you hear like the guard kind of introduces you all, and so kind of goes like,
The party of Floy, of the halls of Gladrock, Balin, son of Fundin, their various associates. They come seeking the aid of the halls of Harmelt. I present to you Lord Majolan and his brothers, from left to right, Pori, Gol, Alden, and Roll.
And they all like kind of nod at you, and you see like the Majolan guy like puts up this big meaty hand, and he says,
"That is all for now. Thank you for introducing us. Please attend to your posts at the door. We have much to discuss."
And you can see like there is a concerned look in the face of this guy, like, and he's staring like directly at Floy. So the guard kind of moves off to the side. Do any of you say anything?
Greetings, Lord Majolan. We come seeking guidance.
Do you now, Floy of Gladrock?
And they kind of look at each other. All of these, like, the different brothers are kind of staring at each other.
You come from for aid from our family. Yet, in seasons past, when we have beseeched your family, your halls for assistance, we were met with denials. And now you come here, asking for our hands. And preceding your arrival, shadow has befallen the dreams of all of those at this table. And the shadows form into your face, dwarf of Gladrock. We believe that you come here with ill intentions. So out with them now. Enough with this delay. Speak what it is you want, so we might deny it and we all might go on with our lives.
It appears that every place we meet, everyone has these dreams, but we seek the Lore Master, your brother Hajolan.
You see they all kind of like look. A few of them have like weird looks on their faces and like almost wincing. Nothing on the guy. The guy's got like the main guy Majolan has like a poker face. He just doesn't shift and turn. But the others are kind of like why would I? That
well, if I can find him, I'll guess that that kind of thing.
Okay. We're going to get into a council, I think. So remember the council rules here is we're going to do a proper council, and I will tell you that there is a decent likelihood that you will, that if you fail this, they will not aid you, and you'll have to find a different route. So remember that the first thing we have to sort of decide is like your goal is just you want their aid. You want them to get access to the lore master, and you want to get information. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, normally that would be a fairly benign, like, simple request, nothing too difficult. But because your family's reputation with them is negative, Floy, and because mechanically you all have rolled a lot of Iasaurans of late, and the Eye of Awareness has creeped up, this is actually going to result in like a greater difficulty for this right now. So let me pull up the rules for council so we can go through them once more. So normally speaking with the lore master for help would just be a very reasonable request. Nothing strange. It would be a 3. But because of the situation, this actually moves up to a resistance 6. So we've got our resistance. We know what our goal is. And so then we hit into the introduction phase. Who is in Floy? You're the one doing the talking, and I think it makes sense for you to be the one doing the role here. So this is you. You have to do all courtesy, riddle. Those are kind of the common introductions to sort of kind of get off to the right foot.
Yeah, I think all here, Rebus.
Okay. Everybody on this, when we do this, you all are going to have a -1 penalty die on every roll of any kind throughout this council. So go ahead and roll your awe with a -1 penalty. And this is going to essentially set the time limit for how long you have to convince them before they just throw you out.
And we do have extra D6s in the bank.
Yeah, remind me of distinctive features can be used here, or is that only in battle?
Yes, they can be used here. Distinctive features, distinctive features actually can't be used in combat unless you're using. It's for skill checks. They're for skill checks,
right.
So they can't actually be used for like weapon proficiencies and things.
Okay, then I'd like to see if I can tap into proud here, proud of my lineage.
Okay.
Even through what he says.
Okay. So your pride, sure. All right.
Gandalf, extraordinary success.
Oh my gosh.
This is such a tease. I keep
So
seeing
many
them show
Gandalfs.
up as Iasaurans. It's so sad because I'm thinking, oh, I got him. And then it's just like, you're like Gandalf. And I'm like, okay. So that's 1, 2, 3 successes. Okay, so let me do the mechanics first, and then you can role play what you say. I'll give you a minute to think of something. So the skill roll is successful. Time limit is equal to the resistance of the council. So it's 6. +1 for each success icon rolled. So in this case, it's total of 3. So you have a time limit of 9.
Yay.
Okay. So, how do you start this off, Floy?
Yeah, I'll come in here, cleaned up from my wrists. I come in pretty artifacts, rings, clothing. I come here expecting aid, and of course, it won't be fruitless. I can make sure you get a good part of this deal.
You all kind of exchanged looks. You can tell like there was something to that. Like there was like a hesitation. They actually, you might have gotten a few of them, but the main guy seems stern. Like the guy in the center, Majolan, and he looks down at you and says,
This deal involves you speaking with my brother. I do not see how this could possibly benefit me.
and so we'll get into the actual thing. So anybody at this point can do it. I'll say, once every once during this this entire thing, you guys can tap into Balin, and you can get an extra die. So you gotta have to explain how you do it. So whenever you think it makes sense. So again, this is going to be so there's a flat difficulty, a -1 penalty because of Floy. However, you can tell that the countenance of this particular group is not particularly good. They seem very reluctant. And so because of that, so I'm setting like the interaction rolls. So it's going to be actually a -2d6 penalty for all of your interaction rolls now. So things like Enhearten or Insight or Persuade, Riddle, Song, all of these different rounds, -2d6.
Oh, shit.
Yep. So he's kind of like, wait,
I'm waiting to hear what this benefit is to our halls, and why you are bringing such strangers here. I have been told that the elf here was very insulting to those who watch our roads and ensure our safety. And now you would bring such an insolent creature inside our halls. What is it you can offer us? Speak quickly. We have other matters to attend to today.
it's to you guys. Someone jumps in.
Yeah.
I neglected to develop my social skills.
Erebon as well.
Oh gosh.
Could I do a lore maybe or song? I don't know. Basically, I'd like to recount a tale of dwarven generosity at some point to try and appeal to I don't know, like a dwarf feeling like they're meant to be generous to visitors and
Okay.
people in their land.
I like song. We'll say maybe there's you're searching your mind for a specific.
I don't care which one
ballad or
because I'm
something.
going to use a magical success with my
Sure.
elven skill.
That's what it's for.
Go
Man, give
ahead
that
and
armband
roll it
away.
with
It
the
also gives
minus-
magical successes for other things. I can't believe you gave that away. I spent
I know.
hours
It was a great
researching
item too.
that.
It was a great item.
Spent hours researching that. It was so plot important too.
And I am
So
miserable.
you should be miserable. Okay.
I am
All
now.
right. So you get one success as Erebon. You think to a specific song. Maybe you don't necessarily sing it, but you reference it. Maybe you reference its lyrics.
Slam
Almost like-
poetry.
They'll do a little slam poetry. Harriet. Oh, Harriet, so trusting. So I married an axe murderer. Anybody? No? Okay. Mike Myers
Sorry.
plays the slam poet. It's awesome. Nancy Travis. Okay. So he looks down at you and he says,
It's interesting that the elf is the one who takes the initiative here. You might speak true, elf. Dwarves do have generosity of heart and spirit. Perhaps we have already given you it, for we have allowed you into these holes despite your insolence. We have offered you shelter for the night as well. This, I would argue, is generosity. But if there is more that you expect from me, I think you fools.
all right, so that's one success.
I did the best I could, guys. You're on your own from here.
Dude, man, you brought it.
Oh.
Can I do a courtesy roll? So like
What do you want
more
to do with
so in the sense of just like it appears we might have gotten off on the wrong foot, and I do apologize. Please allow me to make introductions, etc.
I think that
And
makes
the-
perfect sense. Yeah. Okay, yeah, courtesy makes good. Remember, -2 to all your rolls. One
Yeah.
because of Floyd's
I was hoping
issues,
to
and one's
counteract
because they're
that.
reluctant.
Can I do a distinctive feature, true-hearted? that
If you
apply?
think this is do you think this is applying True-Hearted? Do you think this is applying True-Hearted here?
Maybe no, maybe not.
Like, oh, I don't even say no.
You just
I
talked
just
her out of
asked the question.
Well,
and she
I am being
folds.
very sincere, so yes, I do think so.
Is it sincerity though? Okay. All right. Your words and actions show your honest intentions. Okay, sure. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So courtesy
Spend a hope.
and spend my
Get
hope.
your 2.
And then, but I don't even do anything on the thing.
So it's
'cause
going to
I'm-
cancel each other out. Yeah, it's looking
Yes, yeah.
the penalty. Okay, and you roll it just like normal
And then, can I take a die?
from an audience.
Yeah.
I think those expired. I don't understand.
It won't let me add a dice on the sheet.
Griffin, they are still in fact living. They are trying to convince a very stern and angry dwarven lord to let them have access to their lore master, despite the fact that Floyd's family, his clan, is very rude and disrespectful towards these halls.
It wouldn't let me add my extra dice, so I rolled it.
No worries.
separately.
Okay, got a success. That's
Yeah.
okay. Chipping away. It's fine. So what is it you say?
Pretty much just that, Gilly. You know,
Okay.
I apologize. It appears we may have gotten on the wrong foot. And she does like a polite bow. And my name is Gilly Kettlegrass. These are, and she goes through everybody. And we are intruding upon your wonderful home because we do seek audience with your brother. As a scholar myself, I would vastly enjoy sharing information with him.
You all he looks, you can see he looks down at you and he says,
Your apologies accepted, little one. I am surprised that the only form of courtesy in this party comes from the smallest of all of you. There are some amongst you that I believe should have led with this, perhaps. We accept your apology, at least for your behavior here. But there will be more than mere words to make up for the very ills that this one's family has done towards us.
who's next?
Trying to think of a way to use enhearten.
And what have you concluded?
I think our aims are aligned. If you were to allow us access to the lore master to help find a solution to what seems to be ailing our companion, this will also bring an end to these nighttime disturbances that you have been reporting here. So this would be a benefit to all of us, in fact.
Go ahead and roll it.
I'm also going to take a dice, so it'll be a minus one
2.
then.
So total of -1. Okay.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had failed that opening roll and you had had a small resist. Like, oh man, this could get really
Yeah, it
bad.
would have been awful. I'm still not feeling particularly
Mechanically, we're at 4 for
Yes.
resistance and 7 turns left. Okay.
Oh. 12.
It was close.
All right. That was close, but not quite. At least no Eye of Sauron.
So if you are threatening us, you are holding our very dreams hostage by your presence here. If we are not going to be accepting of you and sharing our ales and our meat with you, we will continue to have trouble sleeping in the eve. It's very foolish there, human.
Who's next? Getting closer now. It's now
Aureliel
4
just
and
kind of looks at
6.
Floy because I think he hasn't gone yet this round.
He's the reason you're in this mess to begin with.
Well, he's like, I didn't want to come here. Why are we here?
Yep.
I'm going to sabotage on purpose.
Let's see. Lord Magellan and Council. I may be the youngest of the family in Gladrock, and it has been a while since I've visited these halls. But I can't help but notice it thinning a bit.
Oh,
I've
shit, son.
I may be naive to my family's doings, but this ailment on me must be solved before I can correct what wrong is they've done.
What are you thinking, skill-wise?
My battle axe? I don't know.
And you throw the axe. He catches it with one hand. Well, thank you. This will do nicely. So, I mean, it sounded like persuade to me. Like, felt like you were trying to persuade him with like the logic of like, you know. And don't forget, someone can tap into Balin too and get an extra die, and he can kind of reinforce your argument with his own reputation.
Yeah, you're the last person.
Yeah, can I tap into my brethren Balin here?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no one's done it yet, so yeah, and he'll pipe up and he'll be like,
My lords, what Master Floy speaks is true. He is an adventurer of sorts. He is not responsible for whatever trade policy disagreements that you and the halls of Gladrock might have transpired between your peoples. He is a wanderer at heart. He journeys across the world, doing this and that, and he is helping to put right where once was wrong and trying to just do the right thing.
and kind of like goes on and on and on. Go ahead and take a penalty. You can take -2 penalty plus, but you get the one back from him, so it'll only be a -1.
Would you like an audience D6? Bring it back to even.
Yeah, can I type in proud still?
I think so. Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. You're mentioning your family and everything. I think that's seems right.
Yes, great success.
There you go. Okay. So that's going to bring it down to 2. Okay, so we got 2 on resistance and 5 time limit left. So he says,
An adventurer. Such is the way. Of the fortunate of the family, I have not been such fortunate. My older brother Tori, our older brother Tori,
and you can see all of them kind of avert their eyes.
he was a similar adventurous spirit. My older brother shirked his responsibilities as the eldest to go off treasure hunting, exploring the Misty Mountains many, many, many years ago. And I have been required to take up what should have been his duty and ensure the family businesses. So, I suppose I, on the one hand, understand that someone who is barely within the halls of his family is unlikely to know the goings-on of that family. But I will not sit here and listen to you say that I should feel sorry for him or I in any way should afford him some sort of additional respect because he chooses to live a life of frivolity rather than a life of duty.
Who is next?
How many more successes do we need?
2, and there's a time limit of 5.
So this is the 5th one. This is our last chance.
You have
No.
5 more
Misunderstood.
chances to get
5 more
2
chances.
successes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. You did very well on the introductory roll, which increased your time limit. So you have multiple chances.
When we first came in here, did we hear or see Hajalan? What was that interaction?
We heard them
He's not
saying
here.
like if
Not
they
here,
could
right.
find him. Like
Yeah.
they
Okay.
kind of made a comment about like, if we could even find him.
You know he's very eccentric. He's considered a weird dude, kind of like a loner type. Something he's got weird obsessions. So he kind of isn't necessarily a part of like the main family. You don't even see a place for him up here. You just see the 4 seats on either side of the main chair for the Lord Majolan.
I can't even do Elven skill anymore because I'm miserable, guys. So if you
Yes.
have options, you want to save me for last.
I could do a lore roll.
So I've come to the point where I don't really like doing lore rolls for this. I think song or riddle is better.
Okay.
Lore is just having knowledge. Riddle and song to me is applying that knowledge, which is what's actually happening here. So I would lean
Got
towards
it.
one of those other 2 instead. So what are we thinking?
I think I might want to do I want to do an awe. I'm thinking basically kind of like what we have been up to and how important Floy has been and how important Floy will be to everything that we're doing. And so, kind of that kind of theme of we are trying to do things that are helping out everyone. And so we're happy to do it, but if there's something that's hindering our ability to do what we're trying to do, then we would request the assistance of others to.
Gotcha. Griffin, thank you so much for those bits, even though they will, in fact, help the players, which I am not in favor of that. But Griffin has replenished you all with some bonus dice you can tap
Thank
into.
you, buddy.
Thank you
Very,
much.
very kind of you.
Thank you.
Very kind. For them, I didn't really get help, but that's cool. That's
In
fine.
our other game, the amount of
Just organize
Complications that
everything,
we've
run the
got.
game, produce the stream, pretty much do
I
everything
actually think you
here,
still
but that's
have
fine.
2.
yeah,
When
you
I
do
checked
still
my
have
notes,
2.
you still have 2 left over.
Well, a Balrog comes up out of the ground.
Suddenly our
Thus ends
council
the
is at
campaign.
-5 instead of -2.
Okay, so I like this. This makes sense, especially off the heels of him saying he's living a life of frivolity and everything. And it's like it's not just maybe you're arguing that he's not just like gallivanting around the world. He's doing good deeds. Like yes, he's exploring, but he might not be helping the halls of the dwarves and such. But he's helping other people. Maybe that's what you're referring to, is deeds in Coombe, where you help them out, or the deeds in Eskerdale, where you help save them from your own people, the Dunedain, where he helps save this. Like he's been, a superhero of sorts. Okay, I like this. Yeah, go ahead and roll it up.
Okay, so I will take 3 of those d6s to
Jeez, just tapping
negate
into
the
it right
minus
away.
2 and add 1 on.
Okay. This is what Melissa does with get my paycheck too. That's a joke. It's not true.
Oh no! Oh no! That is
Oh,
both a
yeah.
failure. Well,
Okay.
I rolled it
So
at
excited.
the 2. Never mind, but it's still a failure.
Okay. And they say, and they turns to you like, all of those adventures sound very impressive, and I am sure the people of those lands owe Floy a debt of gratitude. But while he was off helping the farmers of Coombe and the hunters of Eskerdale, there were people of Harmelt and Gladrock and other halls across the Blue Mountains that were left undefended. He could have found just as many heroic tasks here to perform, and he could have done it for the people who helped to raise him up from a wee lad. Okay. 2 resistance still. 4 chances left. Basic failure will result in you do not have access to the lore master, and you will have to find another route. If it gets worse, meaning like there are ways where this could go very bad, like if you get a really bad complication or something like that, then it could be even worse. You could be in prison, you could be brought up on charges or something, who knows. What would you like to do?
Jeff, you would never put Erebon in a cage.
I mean, I already did, so... All right, who's next?
Gilly, are you decent with song?
No,
What about Riddle?
I have 2 pips in it, but it's
You
not
go.
favored.
It's something. And it's low.
You only need 2 successes. Great success, and boom, this stuff's over. See, Griffin's cheering you on. Come on, Gilly.
2 pips and a D12 is like 13.5 on average.
And we've got plenty of extras, so
And then there's the chance of Sauron or Gandalf.
That's the danger of rolling an ill-favored, is getting that Eye of Sauron.
I know, I don't want that.
I will say
Am I
again,
the
by the
only one
way,
who has a gun?
one of the reasons this is in such a bad state is because I'm actually tapping into a revelation that comes, like a revelation episode that comes from the Eye of Awareness, the Eye of like the that going too high, because it has gone very high. Because anytime you all accrue shadow points, anytime you all roll Eyes of Sauron, that meter goes up, and then once it hits a certain threshold, I'm allowed to throw in like this revelatory episode. And one of the examples is that, like, you know, the difficulty of an upcoming council is even harder than it's supposed to be, which is why this is not just a simple, hey, can we talk to your brother? This is why this is actually much more difficult. So, and then you add on the fact like the weird stuff that's happening with Floy, it's becoming more and more difficult for you all to kind of like win over potential allies and such. Even those you would think would be much easier to deal with. I'm stalling here, trying to get the players to talk so that there isn't dead air, because Melissa knows.
I don't know what I can do.
There's 2 things I hate.
Do
Heat and dead air. Those are the 2 things.
We
You're
have
in
both
both
today.
right now.
I'm sorry.
Both right now.
You know, when you put like one of your nameless monsters in front of us, we know what to do. We can go at it. We'll fight it. One of us might go down, but it's fine. You give us a council, and
You give us an
suddenly we
argument.
Put
fall
you guys in a
apart.
courtroom. What?
Any type of way, and I immediately fold. I'm like, I don't know how to fucking argue with people.
I'd like to,
We can help you out. Let's go ahead, Floy.
yeah, I'll throw in some riddle here myself then. Maybe
Hey.
maybe I'll wonder like what's going on with their halls, like what's causing this low income sort of deal. Maybe it's the bandits, the Oathbreakers, maybe something's going on.
Maybe it's everything all around, like even the great evil that we've been researching.
Maybe they're just not friendly enough to new people, and that discourages trade.
All right, Floy. Are you using any audience dice? Remember,
it's
you
still
can
negative-
always
it's
use
negative 2 always.
5 audience dice to instead get a favored. Under D12.
Oh, that's pretty
Not sure if
juicy.
we have 10.
Use
so-
all 10 dice.
That's how I bait out so many. Okay, you want to use 5 to get a favored roll on this?
Yeah, I'm gonna do Balin too.
Okay, you're gonna tap into balance, so that means Balin's done. So you've tapped him for both rounds now. So Balin's done now. You get one die from him. You got 5 dice that you're using to get a favorite on this roll.
Yeah.
And anything else you're tapping
Do you want
into
any
here?
extras for extra D6s?
He's going for it all. He's just
Negate
going
just
minus
everything.
everything.
man.
This is the final roll.
This is where I'm
Let's
spending
do
all
it.
my hope.
Okay, this is it.
All
You're
right.
spending your hope. Okay. Whoa, it must be serious. Floyd's
Right.
spending hope, everybody.
True hope. Wow.
Everybody's, oh man. Okay.
He's been spending hope too.
I'm just lagging a bit. There's too many
Success.
dice being rolled. All right.
Just a regular
Only one
success.
success.
one.
Oh no.
That was
Okay.
thank
Oh,
you,
Stanley, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Go ahead and replenish your stock, you cheaters. So you kind of throughout this round, like, what's befallen you? You know, you kind of bring it up, and he's like, kind of looks down at you all, kind of looks over at the guard, and the guard kind of turns and kind of closes the doors to the chamber, and kind of stands there next to it.
Well, Floy, Balin, it seems our minds have run dry. And while many of our people, like Balin here, deserted the Blue Mountains, a home that we had kept for generations once the halls of Erebor became free of the dragon that kept it out of our hands. Those who stayed behind were not as fortunate. We weren't awash in the newfound wealth. No, Balin, you look fit as a fiddle. You look healthy, meat on your bones, and I am sure your halls are enameled with all the beautiful and precious metals that Erebor can provide. Those of us who stayed true to the Blue Mountains, to the western side of the world, to where our parents raised us and where our grandparents broke the rock for the very halls we stand within, well, those of us have discovered a very sad truth. The Blue Mountains are running dry. At least our minds are. Some of your families still seems to have the fortune of tapping into good places. Silver and gold, we, however, are not. And our elder brother, who went off to find fortune many years ago, has not returned with that fortune. And so we sit amongst here, and we deal with the elves of Linden, the elves of Grey Havens, and whoever else that we couldn't squeeze out the tiniest penny to continue our infrastructure, to feed our people, and to ensure that we have safety still. That, my dear Floy, is the trouble we have. We have paid our debts and our people. We have purchased the goods that we've needed with the very layers of gold that once made the halls of Harmalt the greatest halls in the Blue Mountains to behold. So unless you have some magnificently devious scheme to provide us some source of reliable economy to increase our wealth so that we can keep our people fed and clothed, I suggest when my servant here opens those doors, you hustle out, and you do so with tight lips. For if our reputation is soiled outside these halls, we will know the source of it.
Okay. Erebon is going to use song again.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a singer. He's going to tell what used to be an elven story about an elf who showed up to the Grey Havens and was in dire need. They took him in not knowing who he was, and it was later revealed that he was from a great elven family, and he repaid upon them tenfold the kindness that was shown to him. Except Erebon is changing it so that the whole story is about a dwarf of Gladrock. So he's going to imply that if, Floy is helped, then the help will be repaid tenfold.
Are you
and
telling
I'm
a
going
lie?
to use yes
Deception?
I'm going to use 4 audience dice here.
We
Okay.
have plenty if you want advantage, if you need advantage.
I think we only need 1 more success. I think I can do it with just 4 audience dice.
Okay.
Yeah, how many more should I need?
Roll them dice, buddy. Oh, I can't wait.
Thank you, audience. You're fantastic. Just one success.
Just enough. Man, you guys really succeeded on this.
Oh, man.
Barely,
we would
actually. It was
not
getting
have
dicey.
if it
Without
was
the audience,
the
there's no way.
No way.
No way. At this rate. You can see that some of them kind of exchange looks. A few of them actually, you can see they almost like kind of hang their heads a little bit in shame, like at this story, at kind of feeling bad about this. And eventually that kind of stern, almost stone chiseled face of Majolan, you finally see a bit of softening. And you see him let out a big breath. Master Elf, you come into our halls, intentional or not, you have shamed us. You are not wrong to do so. In truth, we are desperate. I will say it plainly. And in our desperation, perhaps we have acted in a bit of a ill mood. Of course, you can access our brother. We will take you to him. And he kind of turns towards like one of his brothers. So he turns towards Alden. He's like, Alden, you'll take them to Jolan's chambers if he is there. I will say to you all, I promise that I can promise nothing. I cannot promise that he will help you. He is eccentric is a kind word. I fear that in his desires to see the glory of Harmelt restored, he has taken different tactics to doing so. We look to the present, our neighbors. We look to trade deals and labor unions and such, and he looks to sorceries of the past, legends, stories that are buried in far-off locales, and there are times where he is gone for months at a time, and he returns with nary but barrow dirt beneath his fingernails, and a grim look on his face. We all know that he does this for the good of the family, but he is, in his quest, in his readings, in his searching from runic scribbling to other runic carving, his mind has become addled a bit, which is not to say that beneath that strange exterior there is not brilliance. Our brother is brilliant, and there is no scholar, or at least no dwarfish scholar, that exists today who has knowledge deeper and broader than Hedrolin. He is not the easiest to converse with. But we will take you to him on one condition. Floy, Balin, my cousins, friends, perhaps, after today. The halls of Harmelt have hit rough times. And we, just as we are helping you, we do in fact need your help as well. Floy, you are a world traveler. Balin, you have a network of contacts and people. Both of you could provide some service to help us, to restore our vaults, to restore our status. Whether it's treasures, whether it's contacts, industry, whatever it might be, we need something. And we ask that in return. Not charity, of course. Never that. A trade.
We have something you can provide. Excuse me. We have something that we can provide you that you need: knowledge, access to the foremost dwarvish scholar in the land. And you have something we need as well. Do we have an accord?
It is agreed upon. I'll find something. We will find something.
And Balin's like, of course I can.
Connect you with plenty of folks. I have several contacts within Dale. I was traveling here with toys of Dale, and very good industry, and there are many things within the halls and the industry of the dwarves that we could possibly...
And he kind of starts going on, and you can see a few of the others that are in the side tables that their eyes kind of light up, and it just becomes a sort of like chain reaction of conversation as they start kind of brainstorming these new ideas and things that the Harmelt family could perhaps provide. But eventually, you can see Majolin moves back around from his chair. He's bringing one of the other brothers, while Balin and the three other brothers are kind of in conversation now. And he says,
this is my brother. Alden, he will take you to Jolin. I will speak with Balin here, and we will come to agreements that are beneficial to us all. But know that regardless of what information Hajolin is able to provide, you are welcome here as long as you need it. We will find quarters for you all. And we thank you for your patience. And we thank you, Elf, for reminding us of who we are. History sometimes is forgotten, but the song you sang, the dwarf you referred to, we will be that sort of person again. Thank you.
Of course, you are most welcome. If I may request one small thing in payment. The last halls we were at, the bed that we were assigned was rather short. Would you perhaps have one longer?
No. However, we will find something that will serve. We have textiles.
Much thanks.
That we could put together some sort of mattress for you, of course, Master.
Perhaps some extra pillows, anything.
Don't push it. I am kidding, of course. Yes, indeed.
You have my thanks.
So, you guys are taken on this sort of winding, circuitous route through these almost dizzying array of tunnels, this network, lefts and rights. It's like if you didn't know this place, you would get lost. And you feel yourselves descending. It's getting darker, it's getting less populated. You're passing by dwarves as you go, but eventually fewer and fewer people see the walls get more stone, less kind of metal and adornment. No longer are some of the sconces even lit. You can see at one point Alden just takes a torch off the wall and he continues to wind and turn, and even a few times it looks like he kind of gets lost and he starts down one way and he's like, no, that's not right. No, it's this way. Yeah. Yes, it's this way. Always follow your nose. And he kind of takes you in this different direction. And eventually you come to these extraordinarily ornate doors, but they're carved in stone. Like you can tell it's not the beautiful kind of gold-plated doors that you saw, or the walls were kind of near the main halls. And he kind of, if you be so kind, and like you all kind of help him push, and just as these doors kind of open up and this stench kind of wafts up, and he kind of holds up what looks like this torch around, and you're in some kind of library. You can see rows and rows and rows of like these tall shelves. There are books. There are what looks like huge empty spaces where probably treasures used to be that have probably been sold off. You can see that there's like equipment, swords and axes, and there's armors and things that are probably much similar to Floyd when you go to your vault here and there. But mostly what you're seeing here is like a collection of like this array of other books and things, tablets. And he kind of leads you back through a couple of these rows until you find this fairly long, low-to-the-ground desk, carved from stone, beautiful rune crafts in it. And You can see it from a distance because it's so large, and there's a light, a very large lantern that seems to be sit atop it, and you kind of hear a voice as you get closer, a conversation happening.
No, that's not it. I don't know. No. How interesting. Oh, gee. What do you think, Tori? Do you think this? No, that can't be right. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, which one of us is the lawman? You all know. I will not hear that kind of tone from you.
And as you get a little closer, you see this kind of blonde and white-haired dwarf, hair exploding out in different directions. No signs of braids at all. No comb, just tangle upon tangle. You see a very pale skin and a swath of what looks like, you think, ink or soot across the forehead. And you see this stack of books all around and scrolls. And he is climbed up atop, and he's kind of like on hands and knees, kind of just reading. He's got no shoes on, these big dwarvish feet sticking out behind him over the ledge of the table. And as you get close, you realize who he's talking to. He's turning, and on the table next to him, propped up on some sort of what looks like a stone pedestal, very small, there is a stained skull. And he turns and he says,
"No, Tori, I don't want to hear and oh, shh, we have guests."
And that's where we're going to end this week's session.
Hey.
All right.
But I want to talk to the skull too.
So close. That was
All right.
a really tough council.
It was a very tough
Yeah, that
council.
was
That
rough.
Without
Well
the
done.
audience. Yeah.
Audience bailed you guys out. Again.
We need a
Like
talker in this group.
You need a,
It's
well, I
me,
mean,
but
you guys
I'm not a
have
dwarf.
talkers. You need a good talker.
Yeah, it's not Aurora skill.
Not me.
Erebon does talk too much and it gets him in trouble.
All right. That's true. That's true.
Gilly will mother you until you have manners. Okay.
Oh boy. Okay. So yeah, that's it for tonight. Thank you to everyone who hung out tonight. Thank you to those of you who threw out some
Yes.
bits. Lots of you threw out bits. Griffin, Stanley, thank you so much. Very much appreciate all of the support you all are throwing out towards us. Those of you who have subbed tonight, God, it looks like we got a couple of new followers as well. We really appreciate it. Those of you who are watching this later on VOD, who are watching this on YouTube, we definitely love the fact that people are enjoying this story and that they're actually getting into all of the One Ring adventures that this fellowship is on. So we greatly appreciate it. What else do we have coming up? Monday we'll be doing Deadlands. So you can catch Melissa and I in that. Next Friday, we'll be doing Hunter, the Reckoning again. So you can catch everyone here but Steven in that game. And then next Saturday, we'll be back for more One Ring. And we'll actually talk to this guy and see if they can figure out how to help Floy and what's actually going on.
Yes, please. We need Floy.
So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and raid our friends over at Dragons in the Dining Room who are playing some Dungeons and Dragons. So if you would be so kind as to click that raid button when it pops up, we can kind of carry it and pay it forward and make sure that you get some other cool TTRPG stuff to watch as well. Thank you to everybody. And we'll see you next time. Have a good rest of your weekends.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Bye.